If you're standing in the shower and watching the water sputter out like a garden hose, you know the frustration of low water pressure. You've probably Googled "boost my water pressure" and seen a maze of cheap pumps that promise miracles but end up gathering dust in a closet. I get it, you don't want to toss another $300 plus into a system that won't actually solve the problem in your home. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What I'm about to break down is whether the Grundfos CMBE 144 booster pump system actually delivers steady pressure when you need it, and if the price tag matches the everyday value you'll get. First off, the CMBE 144 isn't just a pump, it's a complete package. It ships with the motor, a stainless steel pressure tank, a pressure sensor, and a controller that talks to the motor. That means you don't have to hunt down separate parts and try to make them play nice. For a homeowner who isn't an electrician or plumber, that all-in-one approach removes a lot of guesswork. The biggest selling point is the variable speed motor. Instead of running at full throttle all the time, the pump senses how much water you're pulling and ramps up or down accordingly. In practical terms, that translates to a quiet morning when only the kitchen tap is on, and a sudden boost when the whole family decides to shower at the same time. I've heard from a few DIY forums that people with 3-story houses notice a real difference when the pump hits the right speed, because the system isn't constantly fighting against a fixed-speed motor that either overpressurizes or underdelivers. Energy consumption is a hidden cost most shoppers overlook. A fixed-speed booster that runs constantly can add a noticeable bump to your electric bill. The Grundfos unit, thanks to its sensor-driven speed control, only draws the power it needs at any given moment. In a typical week of normal household usage, the savings might be modest, maybe a few dollars, but over a year it adds up, especially if you have a larger family that runs multiple showers, appliances, and an irrigation system simultaneously. Stainless steel construction is another practical advantage. Many low-priced boosters use thin aluminum or even plastic housings that corrode after a season or two, especially if your water is a little acidic. The CMBE's stainless body is rated for corrosion resistance, which means you're less likely to face leaks or premature failure. For homeowners in coastal areas, where salty air accelerates rust, that durability is a real peace-of-mind factor. Now, let's talk about installation. The kit is designed for residential and light commercial settings, and the manual assumes you have a basic understanding of plumbing. You'll need to mount the unit near your water main, connect it to the existing pipework, wire the controller to a dedicated circuit, and then prime the system. If you've never done a pump install, you might want to hire a pro. The upside is that once it's up, you won't have to tinker with it. There's an automatic pressure switch that handles turn on and turn off without user intervention. One practical weakness is the size of the pressure tank. At about 1.5 gallons, it's sufficient for most single-family homes, but if you have a high-flow demand, think multiple sprinklers, a large bathtub, and a washing machine running together, you might notice a brief dip before the pump ramps back up. It's not a failure, it's just the physics of how much water the tank can store before the motor has to engage. In those cases, pairing the system with a larger external tank could smooth out the spikes, but that adds cost and space considerations. Another point to weigh is the noise level. Variable speed motors are generally quieter than their fixed speed cousins because they don't slam into full speed instantly. In my own testing of similar Grundfos models, the sound was comparable to a refrigerator humming in the basement, noticeable if you're right next to it, but not a disruption when you're on the main floor. If you have an open plan layout with the pump installed in a living area, you might still hear it, so plan the mounting location with a little buffer space if possible. Who should consider buying this system? If you live in a 2- or 3-story home and notice that the top floor showers feel weak, or if you've installed a water-intensive feature like a rain gate irrigation system and the pressure drops under load, the Grundfos CMBE 144 is a solid match. It also makes sense for small office buildings or boutique retail spaces that need consistent pressure for coffee machines, restrooms, and cleaning equipment. Who should skip it? If you live in a one-story ranch with a modern municipal supply that already meets the typical 40 psi baseline, you probably won't see any real benefit. Likewise, if you're on a very tight budget and the only issue is an occasional low-pressure moment, a simpler, fixed-speed booster might do the job, though you'll sacrifice the energy-saving variable speed and the integrated tank. The overall value proposition hinges on the convenience.